going on, guys? Noah Jive from the Geek Week here. If you're watching this video, I'm sure it's the new year. So, since the new year's coming, we're going to get a new DCEU, seeing as James Gunn's going to reboot, assumingly the whole thing. I figured, why don't we look at all of the DCEU movies, lovely they were, we got over the last, I think the first one was 2016, so was it 7 years? Maybe my math's off, 8, something like that. Correct me in the comments. But we got a total of 11 movies, 11 films from the DCEU, and spoiler, shocker, most of them are terrible. But for your enjoyment and for our content, I have gone through all of them and ranked them. Most of these I've actually already reviewed on our episodes of our podcast and things like that. Why don't we start with the worst and work our way up to the best? I mean, they're all pretty bad, and the jump from like the top to like mid-tier is like almost immediate. So let's just, I had the hardest time, honestly. It really was hard to decipher, like, let's say like 4 through 11 because of the low quality of film. Like, they're all so, it was hard to find minute details within each film to decipher them from the others. Like, they're all pretty similar and pretty garbage. Like, it was tough. But without further ado, coming in at number 11 for me is Suicide Squad, and this is the first Suicide Squad from 2016. I mean, I'm not gonna do too much talking about that film. I mean, it was all over the place. I mean, from usually what I can say I do like about even the poor DCEU films is from a casting standpoint, I think they usually do well. And some of them were good in this, like Harley Quinn is Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn has been phenomenal. I think in every time she's done it, doesn't mean the movies have been good, but I think she's been good. But the rest, come on, man. I mean, James Gunn had to wipe that when he redid the other Suicide Squad, which was a much better film. But we'll get to that later. Yeah, this one, when I reviewed it, I can't remember. I have on here a 1.5. I mean, I think it could be lower, honestly, but I think I can't physically give something lower than a 1.5 if they have like people like acting, like they're actually really trying. So, you know, I have to at least give them a 0.5 of a grade, you know, like you get a 0 if there was just like stick figures on the screen, maybe. Number 10. This is crazy that this is coming at number 10 because all of these lackluster films were for this film. So it's so disappointing that it was so bad, but it's Justice League. I mean, I am talking about the original, but let's be real. The Zack Snyder version wasn't that much better. I mean, it was just a lot more of the same. But yeah, Justice League was just a bad film. It was just a bad film. And this is I'm not going to go on too big of a rant on this. I talked about it in a watch through video that'll be coming out hopefully soon. But this is just pretty much the repercussions of them trying to go toe-to-toe with Marvel on movies, and their philosophies on storytelling couldn't be any more different. So for them to try to mimic Marvel at each step, try to get to this point, of course it falls apart. But yeah, Justice League was bad. It was bad. At number 9, I have Wonder Woman 84, which, oh my God. I remember reviewing this one. I think this is probably season 3 or... It could have been season 2, honestly, late season 2 of the podcast, but this was bad. I remember because this was a bad one and it was a long one. So I had to watch it twice for the review. And man, this was another one where the casting was weird. They had, what's her name? Kristen Wiig play Cheetah. And that was just strange to me. I felt it just didn't fit. And then Pedro Pascal, although he acted well, his character was probably the best character within the show or within the movie. But then I remember there was something with his son that was just, it didn't fucking make sense. It just didn't make sense at all. Like, it was, I don't want to get too caught up on that because we have a lot more to get into, but it was very strange. I thought it was very strange. At number 8, Oh, and if I didn't mention, that was a 3 out of 10 for Wonder Woman 84. At number 8, I have Birds of Prey, and I gave that a 4.4. Now, just a little heads up, the next 3 on this list were super tough for me to decipher as far as like, they're really just the same level of movie to me. But so I had them all as like 4.5s when I initially reviewed them. But for this list, I kind of just, bumped one up a point or bumped one down a point accordingly to be able to rank them. So at number 8, we have Birds of Prey. Now, like I said before, I think Margot Robbie's, I hope I'm not butchering that name, but probably am. I thought her Harley Quinn was phenomenal in everything she's been in. I thought she does a great job in this movie too. It's funny though. The one thing about this though, because I distinctly remember this, because it wasn't even me that actually wanted to watch this. Shocker. It was my partner at the time. She had wanted to watch this movie, and I just to give you some insight, like there was no reason for me to be that distracted. I mean, this is right up my alley. Typically, if you watch a movie with somebody that isn't as in love with that genre as you are, they'll be distracted and maybe might distract you, but this wasn't the case. She wanted to watch the movie. I remember that. And I just remember starting it and like just not getting through it like at least 3 or 4 times before finally like just off pure boredom and just, I don't know, man. It was just not, that movie just wasn't it for me. Yeah, so that's at 8. At number 7, Man of Steel. Man of Steel, I'm going to go with the solid 4.5. And this one is a misconception. I mean, because like, I remember back at because back at the time, I think season 1, when we did season 1, a lot of these weren't out yet. A lot of these movies weren't out or had just come out. But Man of Steel was one of the better ones at the time, like at the time, I thought it was really good. I mean, but upon rewatch, the one thing about Man of Steel that just keeps me from throwing it up higher, not only from it being dreadfully boring, just Zack Snyder being obsessed with that tan gray scale, and it's just, oh my God, visually boring and just, conceptually boring, but was the fact that Superman was a villain. He was a villain in that movie. Like, Superman killed so many people, and it's just not addressed, and it's really strange. Like, I don't think any Superman movie in the history of Superman movies have, defamated his character worse than that film. So for that reason alone, I think it needs to sit pretty low on this list, but, still higher than the other 4. But yeah, that's 7. At number 6, I have Batman vs. Superman. And, oh man, this one's a conundrum because don't get me wrong, this movie's hot garbage. It's hot garbage, but like, there's classic DC with casting. I do like Ben Affleck's Batman. I do enjoy it quite much. And I think there was a lot that could have been done with this film. I didn't like Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I don't know where that came from. And if you couldn't tell, I didn't have notes for this video. It's kind of just spur of the moment. So I'm jogging, really digging in my brain to remember these terrible films. But yeah, it was just, and then they really tried to like mix it with Doomsday, which is its own film. And it was just, garbage, just utter garbage, but could have been great. I don't know why you just don't do like Dark Knight Returns, like old Batman, try to take out Superman. Like you could have just done some easy stuff, like from a concept standpoint, that maybe not from a storytelling standpoint, it's a good story, but from like, you don't have to have all the CGI crazy like Doomsday shit. You could have just as easily done a simpler story, a really good story, and let it run. But number 5. All right, so I don't know if this is recency bias. It probably is, but I'm gonna throw Black Adam at number 5 because for me it's just it's a steady 5 out of 10. It's just as average gets for a movie. Hopefully the watch through I did of it comes out. I'll be working on that. But yeah, it's just average. It's not terrible. It's not good. But if you smell what The Rock is cooking, you might like it. Number 4, I have Shazam, which might surprise people. But Shazam, it's not great. But for what it is, it's better than every movie I've listed so far. I mean, if you were just to look at Shazam as like a standalone comedy, I think it could stand on its own 2 legs a lot better than the films I've listed before as well. But yeah, I gave Shazam a 5.1. It was a 5 at average for me too, but to decipher between this and Black Adam, gave that the 0.1. I thought it should get the nod. At number 3, is Aquaman. And Aquaman, make no mistake, is not good. It's not good. Like, it's just better than everything else I've listed so far. And like, this is the last of the films that are just bad. Like, they're just bad. Like, I can't lie about that. Like, they're not good. So for Aquaman, I don't even want to give it the half, but I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10 for the sake of this list. But it's not good. I think the castings with Jason Momoa as Aquaman was, I guess, good, but him as Lobo, I'm thinking is going to be a lot better, especially with James Gunn writing. So have that to look forward to. Okay, so number 2 also might be a surprise, but there's a jump now from 5.5. Wonder Woman number 1. I have that as the second best DCEU movie of all time, and that's crazy to say. I mean, that's wild to say out loud, but I mean, from a concept and a thematic standpoint, I think it's the most well put together out of all the movies I've listed so far. Like the second Wonder Woman was just a god-awful mess, but the first one, I mean, as cookie cutter and generic as it is, at least it's a movie. At least it's, at least there's some continuity there. There's a lot of continuity there, actually. Now I'm thinking about reminding myself of the movie. Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman is before the actual number 1, which you should know, obviously, because I haven't said it. But this was probably the best that they did. Probably which is what made them think that they had a bright future, but they didn't. Unfortunately, they did not. Okay, the real number 1 best movie in the DCEU, guys, obviously, is the Suicide Squad. It's the one James Gunn did. I mean, there's a reason this guy is now taking over the DCEU, and I said this when this movie came out. I reviewed it on the podcast. I actually saw this movie at the cinema in North Carolina, of all places, which was interesting. And you know what? Got a little bit of time. I'll tell that story, actually, because I'd already seen the first Suicide Squad, so I was not excited about this, but I knew James Gunn was doing it, and I like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, God, should I give it a chance? So when I walked into the cinema, I had a couple hours before my flight back to Buffalo, and I'm like, okay, it's either between this or Free Guy, which is that Ryan Reynolds movie, and I was not looking forward to seeing that either because it just didn't look good. And I ended up going with Suicide Squad 2, and guys, I loved it. Like, I loved it. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time in a film, like, I was just enjoyed myself that much. Like, I truly, genuinely just enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, and then actually to follow up, I did go see Fall Guy or Free Guy the next time I was out of town and had some time to kill before a flight, and it was terrible. I mean, the movie was awful. I think I talked about that on the podcast too, but that's another thing within itself. Ryan Reynolds, to me, I mean, outside of it's just Deadpool, because I don't think he had anything I liked before Deadpool after I had to think about it, and he didn't. And then Deadpool I liked, but I don't know if that like gassed him up or whatever, but I don't know, it's a slippery slope for him. But yeah, the true number 1, Suicide Squad, James Gunn, save us all, please. Thank you very much. All right, that has been my list. If you don't like it, I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. Man, if you guys disagree, get in the comments. Let me know what you think. I mean, this was honestly tough. I think if anybody does a list between these films, I mean, there's probably a few you might separate based on your preference. But I mean, the grand bulk of their projects are just not good. So, when you have a bunch that are just at the same tier. And like, mind you, even though they've got 2 that I'm looking at this list that are just, almost at that watchable level. That's the Justice League, both cuts really, and Suicide Squad. And then this is more my personal preference than Wonder Woman 84. The MCU has more unwatchable films. I'll just say that. But they're making more as we speak. Yeah, guys, that's been my list. Let me know what you think, and if you like these videos, let me know. I'll make some more, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.